Hello, everyone. I'm here with Irina Macovei from Movacy for the second video cast that we're going to be today talking about software and how it's the secret sauce that is so important as Locker and other out-of-home technology grows and develops fast. The thing is almost the cement that keeps things together. And maybe I thought we could kick off discussing about the shortcomings with today's pickup locker experience from, of course, user perspective. What do you think are the things that, based on your experience, and I know that obviously you've got a lot of experience in this space, are not really getting maximum points today?
Well, there are quite a few shortcomings, to be honest. But I think users need to enjoy the entire experience, right? Even if we talk about the pickup or the drop-off deliveries. So not only pickup is important because most local networks have return flows as well, or C2C flows. So we talk about drop-off. I think users need predictability, flexibility, and transparent communication. But first, let's take a step back and think about their first need, which, in my opinion, is support, right? If anything happens when they go to a locker, they need someone to call or to fix their issue. They will need support, but sometimes support becomes really slow, especially when you have an ecosystem that is not integrated or it doesn't have end-to-end visibility. So that
So
would
what do you mean,
be
by that? Because, not everyone is going to be a tech person here. What sort of
Mhm.
things, so that in a, understandable non-tech way, what sort of things are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about ecosystems that are integrated. So all their apps, and you can follow the entire journey of a parcel. If you need to look for parcel status, or if you need to troubleshoot locker events, transaction history, and stuff like that.
And what you're
Usually,
saying, effectively, as I understand it, a good integrated system will mean that a lot of the questions or issues won't arise because you've got the answer in your app. And then if
yeah.
something does go wrong, there's a very simple, ideally one-click solution that will help you solve the problem. Is that what we're really thinking about?
Yes, that's correct. And it usually is so slow because service agents usually look in different applications. If it's just something just happened at the locker, sometimes they can have 2 or 3 platforms or dashboards that they have to look into to find the parcel or the issue that happened to it. So having just one system or an integrated ecosystem makes it just easier and faster for them to solve the final user's issue.
So you're going actually even deeper. So it's not just the fact that the customer has everything in a simple app that helps them, but the system behind it is integrated in a manner that you don't have to, if you're the person helping the customer,
hmm
you don't have to look in 5 different places, spending
hmm
time, effort, and perhaps making mistakes.
Yes.
Was this just as this is quite fascinating? Was it something at Movacy that developed over time, or did you have that in your mind right from the very beginning?
No, I think we developed some of the things we did think about it from the beginning, but I think experience is the one that gives perfect shape to the application. So through a lot of fails and a lot of improvements, we got it to a good point where users can have really easy support.
I think that's great. But one other thing, and I assume that also you've thought about this. For me, I'm a heavy user of parcel lockers, and the most frustrating thing possible for me is where you get to a machine, something goes wrong. The
Mhm,
classic one is that I pressed to open a cell, it didn't open, and I've had this happen. And
mhm,
then what do? It looks, the machine thinks that it's allowed you to take the parcel. And then there's some of the off-grid machines, there's no screen, there's nothing that you can touch, feel, or see. And
mhm,
then you spend 15 minutes looking, and in the small print, suddenly you find a phone number. And if you're
mhm.
lucky, the customer service will be open. That's a nightmare.
I will take that even further because I understand your frustrations. Imagine if you go to a locker and the locker doesn't have a power connection or no internet or the POS is not working. So these are other problems that usually annoy, to be honest, the customers. We thought about this for quite a long time. And last year we launched a feature that helps us improve the communication with the final user. So if there is a problem, the locker, we notify you through a push notification and in an email that something happens and you shouldn't go to the locker. And then we automatically extend the time period when you can pick up your parcel. And when it's fixed, notify you again that it's fixed and you can come and take it out, pick
Oh,
it up.
well, I agree. It's a lot less frustrating than
It is.
going to a machine and finding that, it doesn't work. Wow. So
It is.
effectively preemptive information.
Yeah. So if you don't have a transparent communication, I think to your customer, it's the fastest way you lose trust, right?
Absolutely. And I have to say I love it because even if things go wrong, if somebody tells you, look, sorry, we've got a challenge, we're dealing with it, this is what we're doing, and we'll resolve it soon, it's a lot better than just finding the problem and effectively feeling that you're left with it. But
Yeah.
listen, I'd love to talk more about this. We've still got some other things to cover today. So let's talk about we have a phrase, we discussed this before, common user experience. I think that's really important because today technology is moving forward so fast. We've got different hardware tools. When we talk about a common user experience over different locker types and networks, what could that mean in practice?
For us, it means that the customer keeps the same level of control regardless of the infrastructure behind the delivery, right? Whether the user manages deliveries on a website or a mobile app or picks a parcel from a locker, a Pudo or a third party locker, the customer experience should stay the same.
So effectively, what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, because it sounds pretty
Mhm.
cool if I'm not wrong, that irrespective of what the legacy system is, whether it's hardware, process, etc., you can incorporate all of those to create a uniform customer experience.
Yes, that's true. And
Wow.
it should be like that. Even if we talk about open networks, right? The customer should have the same notifications, redirection flows. So the same experience.
So effectively, I can see two scenarios. One scenario, which is becoming more and more common, is that one carrier may have several different types and even different companies giving or producing the hardware. The other
Hmm.
scenario is in a large open network, you might actually have several carriers. And in both of those cases, particularly the second one is, I think, really cool. You're able to create a uniform overall experience, even if you have different operating systems beneath, shall we say, the customer level.
Yes, that's true.
Wow. Okay, listen, we're almost out of time. I've got to ask you one last question. Today, most locker manufacturers, not all, but most, seek to offer some kind of software solution. Historically, it was only firmware, which is the software
Hmm.
within the machine. But now they're seeking to offer more complete software solutions. Are they, in your opinion, best placed to do this versus specialist suppliers? I have my opinion, but I'll let you give your answer first.
I think locker manufacturers are really strong in the physical asset side, but don't always have the necessary business experience of the logistics operations, right? Because they create hardware, they do hardware. So, a specialist software provider, on the other hand, prioritizes the entire ecosystem, integrating everything from career routing and customer notification to multi-vendor management. In short, you want your hardware built by engineers, but your operations by logistics experts.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing, because, I'm in the camp that generally speaking, you cannot be great at everything. And one other benefit of having an independent, let's say agnostic software supplier, you're not dependent on one hardware because, we call it, I think, vendor lock can be sometimes a bit of a challenge. So I think it gives you much more flexibility, plus you get the best of both worlds, which, by the way, I think we need to say very honestly, it's not that every locker provider is not able to give credible software. It's just that if you want a uniform experience and you want to avoid vendor lock type issues, probably it's worth at least investigating very carefully, specialists who are able to offer you probably the best of both worlds.
Yeah, true. And a platform that is hardware agnostic and build with API first.
So here we have it. Probably, and I think we're aligned here, probably this is one area more than most others where you can really benefit from having this specialist experience and having this more agnostic model. I think this will not be the last of our chats. Looking forward at some stage in future, Irina, to have another one. It was absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, Marek. It was a great chat.